Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to we're so proud that you're here tonight. I am Lisa McLean. I work for the radio station. I would like to welcome you to the first live performance of Alexander Radio Theater, and it's also their season finale. So let us welcome their announcer for the night, Glenn Mays.
Good evening, everyone. You're invited to take a little walk back in time, to a time of soda shops, penny candy, of neighborhood grocers and silver screen legends. Welcome back to the golden age of radio. You can enjoy classic radio plays of a bygone era, reimagined here for you by the Alexander Radio Theater. Tonight, the Alexander Radio Theater brings you another adventure of Sherlock Holmes. When you're threatened with a cold, remember this. Bromoquinine tablets are made expressly for the relief of colds. They're not a cure-all. They're made for one thing and one thing only, and that is the relief of colds. Isn't it better to take a preparation that has only one use rather than one that has a half dozen uses? Well, ensure yourself the advantages of specialized medication. When you feel a cold coming on, you certainly want to take bromoquinine tablets. And now here we are, seated once more in Dr. Watson's study. The good doctor is wandering aimlessly about the room, tidying objects on his desk and straightening a row of books. Well, Dr. Watson, you certainly have a passion for law and order.
A place for everything and everything in its place, I always say. I do hate a mess. Holmes, on the contrary, was one of the untidiest men that ever drove a fellow lodger to desperation. When I find a man who keeps his cigars in the coal scuttle, his tobacco in the end of a Persian slipper, and his unanswered correspondence transfixed by a jackknife in the very center of the wooden mantelpiece, then I begin to give myself virtuous airs.
And of course that annoyed Sherlock Holmes.
He never even noticed it. Well, then let me see. The last time I think I promised that this week's story would be the Musgrave ritual.
The Musgrave ritual? What was that?
Patience, Mr. Mays, patience. Well, as I was saying, Holmes was very untidy. Our chambers were always full of chemicals and criminal relics, but his papers were my greatest trial. He had a horror of destroying documents. Once a year or so, I would browbeat him into docketing and cataloging them. One winter night, as we sat together by the fire, Holmes playing casual chords on his violin, I ventured to suggest that he might spend his time more profitably by making our sitting room a little more habitable. I say, Holmes, I wish you'd start that caterwauling. Oh, start that racket. Why don't you do something worthwhile instead of lolling around like that?
For instance?
Well, you could straighten up this room. It looks more like a pigsty every day.
Oh, very well.
Now where are you going? Look at the place. Papers on the table, papers on the floor, papers on the chairs, papers. What are you doing, Holmes, pulling that large tin box in here?
House cleaning. The key. Oh, yes.
What have you got in there?
Cases. Records of my earlier cases done prematurely before I had such a competent biographer. I think if you knew what I had in this box, you'd ask me to pull some out instead of putting others in.
It's of no use, Holmes. You can't get around me like that. You might as well just begin putting your stuff away.
Here's the record of the Tarleton murders, the case of Varnberry, the adventure of the Russian woman, and the singular affair of the aluminium crutch.
Aluminium crutch?
Yes, a most amazing story. It was one April day. The rain was coming down in torrents.
I'm not interested.
Hi-ho. Well, I suppose I best get to work. Ah, here. Now here really is something a little recherché.
It's nothing but a wooden box with a sliding lid.
Ah, but look inside. Look inside.
A crumpled piece of paper with some doggerel written on it, an old-fashioned brass key, a peg of wood with a bow of string attached, and 3 rusty old discs of metal. Not very impressive.
Well, what do you make of it?
It's a strange collection.
And there is a stranger story connected with it.
I suspected these relics had a history.
They are history, my dear Watson. They are history.
What was it about?
These are all I have left to remind me of the Musgrave ritual. Fascinating case, fascinating. Hi-ho, well, I guess I'd better be getting on with my work.
What was the Musgrave ritual?
You want to interrupt my labors with a silly story? Dear, and leave all this litter as it is? Reprehensible, my dear Watson. Thoroughly reprehensible.
Oh, get on with the story.
Very well. It was one of my first cases when I was making a most precarious living out of my sleuthing. It had to do with Reginald Musgrave, a scion of one of the oldest families in the kingdom. Well, I hadn't seen Reginald Musgrave for several years, until one morning I received a note from him. Here it is.
My dear Sherlock, I hear that you are turning to practical ends these powers with which you used to analyze us. Could you spare time to visit us at Hurlstone? I can promise you a problem which will tax even your nimble wits. Hopefully yours, Reggie Musgrave.
You can imagine my eagerness. In my innermost heart, I believed that I could succeed where others had failed.
Conceit.
Don't interrupt, Watson, don't interrupt. Well, late that night, I arrived at Hurlstone to find myself enthusiastically greeted by my host.
Well, Holmes, delighted to see you, my dear fellow. It's awfully good of you to come. You've gotten taller and thinner than ever.
You're much the same, I should say, Musgrave.
Alfred, carry Mr. Holmes's bags up to his room.
Yes, sire.
Your butler is new at his job, isn't he?
Yes, but how did you know?
His uniform is rather a bad fit, and his legs are better suited to the stable yard than the drawing room.
Well, as a matter of fact, he's just been promoted to his post. He used to be the head coachman. It's about Brunton, our old butler, that I wanted to see you.
What about him?
He's disappeared.
Brunton's disappeared, eh? Seems to me I've heard you mention his name before.
I dare say you have. He's been in service here for nearly 20 years, although he's barely 40 now.
Rather unusual.
Yes. He was a young schoolteacher, out of a place, when he was first taken up by my father. He was a man of great ability, handsome, spoke several languages, and played every musical instrument. A paragon. Brunton had only one fault.
Yes?
He was a bit of a Don Juan. A few months ago, we were in the hope that he was about to settle down, for he became engaged to Rachel Howells, our second maid.
Well?
Well, he has since thrown her over and taken up with the daughter of the head gamekeeper.
And what was this girl, Rachel, like?
Rachel is a very good girl, but of an excitable Welsh temperament. She had a touch of brain fever, subsequent to the smash-up of her romance. I'm really rather worried about her, the girl.
Yes, but look here, Musgrave. You haven't brought me all the way from London to discuss a servant girl's love affairs.
Well, that was our first drama at Hurlstone, and quite a tempest in a teapot it was. You know what country houses are like. But a second one came to drive it from our minds, and it was prefaced by the disgrace and dismissal of the butler, Brunton.
Dismissal?
One night last week, Thursday to be exact, I found that I couldn't sleep. You know how it is. Well, at 2 o'clock I rose and lit a candle, intending to get a novel I had been reading in the library. I pulled on my dressing gown and started down the stairs. Imagine my surprise when, looking down the corridor, I saw a glimmer of light coming from the library door. My first thought was of burglars. Luckily, our corridors are liberally decorated with trophies and old weaponry. I seized a battle axe in either hand and tiptoed down the passage to the library door. Don't move if you value your life!
Oh, sir.
Why, God bless me, it's Brunton. What are you doing down here in the middle of the night?
Well, you see, sir,
And my desk has been broken into, and my private papers strewn on the table? What do you mean by going through my private papers, you scoundrel, after the trust we've had in you?
Well, sir, I meant no harm.
The impudence, the rank impudence. Brunton, you will leave my service tomorrow.
Oh, Mr. Musgrave, sir, I can't bear the disgrace. I've always been proud about my station in life.
Yes, and look what it has led you into.
The disgrace will kill me. At least let me give you notice and leave in a month's time, as if it was of my own free will.
Very well, but a month is too long. Take yourself off in a week and give what reasons you wish for going.
Only a week? Oh no, a fortnight. At least say a fortnight.
A week, and you've been let off very lightly. Now put down that paper you have in your hand and get out.
And after that little set-to, you were too annoyed to sleep, eh, Musgrave?
Well, as a matter of fact, I did spend the rest of the night thinking of things I should have said to the fellow. However, by morning I had calmed down somewhat.
And Brunton?
For 2 days afterwards, Brunton was most assiduous in his attention to his duties. On the 3rd day, he was gone.
Gone? Gone where?
Deuce take it. That's what I would like to know. His bed had not been slept in, but all our windows and doors were found locked on the inside, and no one had let him out.
Did you question this girl, Rachel?
Yes, she's been very ill ever since his disappearance, sometimes hysterical. I had to have a nurse sit up with her at night.
What was the condition of Brunton's room after the disappearance?
Very orderly, as usual. His clothes, his watch, even his money were in the room, but the black suit he usually wore was missing. His slippers, too, were gone, but not his boots.
Enlightening, most enlightening. And what was the paper he had in his hand when you surprised him in the library?
It was the Musgrave ritual.
The Musgrave ritual. What was that?
Oh, rather an absurd business. It has only its antiquity to excuse it. It's a strange sort of catechism which each Musgrave must answer when he becomes of age.
Could I see it?
Oh, certainly, certainly. It's in the library. Come this way.
This old hall is rather impressive with all its armor and weapons. Wait, I fancy I heard someone on the stairs. Someone on tiptoe.
I'll run up and have a look.
Be careful, my dear fellow, be careful.
No, there's no one here.
Strange, I would have sworn I heard footsteps.
Must have been the old stairs creaking. This is the library, and this is the desk where I keep my private papers.
How private? I mean, is there anything there that would benefit anyone else?
Good heavens, no.
Nothing that might lead to blackmail?
Oh, no. Sorry to disappoint you, Holmes, but I've led a very tame and uninteresting life.
I see one of the drawers was broken into, very amateurish. I'm afraid Brunton had very little experience.
Yes. That lock is completely damaged. I've moved everything to this side of the desk. Just a minute till I find my key. Ah, yes. And here is the Musgrave ritual.
Curious old writing. It dates back to Charles I, I should say. You can tell by the spelling.
Probably Charles II. My ancestor, Ralph Musgrave, was a prominent cavalier and right-hand man in Charles's wanderings. They went in for rigmarole of this sort in those days. It's just a series of questions and answers. Probably the bywords of a secret society.
You know the answers by heart, I take it.
Yes, it's something every Musgrave has to learn.
Suppose I read off the questions, and you give me the answers.
Far away. You can't trip me up there.
All right, here goes. Whose was it?
His who is gone,
Who shall have it?
he who will come.
Where was the sun?
Over the oak,
Where was the shadow?
under the elm.
How was it stepped?
North by 10 and by 10, east by 5 and by 5, south by 2 and by 2, west by 1 and by 1, and so under.
What shall we give for it?
All that is ours,
Why should we give it?
for the sake of the trust. As you can see, Holmes, the paper has no practical importance.
On the contrary, it has tremendous practical importance. Your butler seems to have been a very clever fellow. He has had more insight than 10 generations of his masters.
I say, Holmes,
The oak, I take it, is the one that stands here to the east of the house. I noticed it as I drove up.
that's right. You can see it from this window.
Yes, quite a patriarch.
It must have been here when the ritual was drawn up.
It was here at the Norman Conquest in all probability. Listen, there is someone in the hall outside. Eavesdropping, I'm sure of it this time.
I'll soon find. Hello. Oh, why, it's Rachel. My dear girl, whatever are you doing up and about like this? Where's your nurse?
She's sleeping. I fooled her.
You must go right back to bed.
Yes, I must go right back. He's gone.
Yes, of course.
Brunton's gone. He's gone, I say.
Yes, I know that. Now don't worry. We'll find him for you. Just
You-
go back.
You'll never find him. Never. I know where he's gone.
Yes?
He's gone where he belongs.
Where is that?
To hell. He's gone to hell.
I say, she's delirious. Help me to get her upstairs, will you? We'll have to postpone our talk, I'm afraid.
Yes, there's nothing more to do until tomorrow morning in any case,
What do you mean tomorrow morning?
when the sun is over the oak.
That's what he said. And he's gone.
In just a moment, we'll rejoin Sherlock Holmes as he endeavors to solve the mystery of the Musgrave ritual. A cold, even a so-called slight cold, is something to be concerned about. For any cold, as you very well know, may quickly take a more serious turn. Now be serious in your treatment of a cold. At the very first symptom, take a serious and proven preparation. Bromoquinine cold tablets have been on the market for years and their merit fully established. They really go to work on a cold's misery. They relieve the headaches and the other pains that go with a cold. They relieve the stuffy and depressed feeling that accompanies a cold. And they help reduce the fever that goes with a cold as well. They give you that multiple action that you want. Don't fool around when you feel a cold coming on. Take warning at the first symptom and take bromoquinine tablets. Bromoquinine tablets are sold by all drugstores, just a few cents a box. Ask clearly and firmly for bromo. That's B-R-O-M-O. Quinine. Q-U-I-N-I-N-E. That's bromoquinine cold tablets.
Good morning, Holmes. I hope you haven't been too bored prowling around the grounds by yourself. Sorry to have kept you waiting for breakfast. Fact is, I'm a bit upset. There's been another disappearance. Rachel eluded her nurse last night again, and so far, she hasn't been found.
So I understand. Your new butler told me. I've traced her footprints to the edge of this lake.
But the lake is over 8 feet deep at this point. Oh, the poor demented girl.
I took the liberty of ordering the drags and grappling hooks at once.
Yes, I see the men working. Have you found...
Nothing, exactly nothing. Hello, there seems to be some excitement now. The drags have caught on something.
We've got her, sir. We've got her this time for sure.
Pull hard, boys. That's right. What a frightful business. Hello, why, it's not a body.
No, it's a large canvas bag.
Here, boys, give it to me.
Yes, sir.
What's in it?
Just a minute. Don't slosh it round so. Why, it's just a lot of old discolored metal and some dull-colored pebbles or glass. Throw it back in.
Stop. Better keep that stuff. Bring it along, and don't let it out of your hands. Now let's get back to the house.
Breakfast, eh?
No, breakfast will have to be postponed. The sun is now over the oak.
I say, Holmes, you're not taking that rubbish seriously.
The only thing that puzzles me is the absence of our ancient elm tree.
Sorry to disappoint you. There are plenty of elderly beech trees, won't they do?
No, I'm afraid not.
Wait a minute. There used to be an elm. Very ancient it was, too. Over there. You can still see the stump. It was cut down when I was about 15.
That's better. Midway between the house and the oak. Yes, that must have been the one. I suppose it's impossible to find out how tall it was.
Not at all. It was 64 feet.
Excellent. But how in the world...
That tree was my tutor's favorite exercise in trigonometry.
Now then, the shadow of the oak is fairly obvious. We can see that for ourselves. But the shadow of the elm is a bit more difficult.
I say, Holmes, what are you doing with that fishing rod?
A fishing rod of 6 feet throws a shadow of, 9 feet exactly. Quite simple. Therefore, a tree of 64 feet will throw a shadow of 96 feet, and in the same direction. Where's my tape? Ah, yes, 96 feet. 96, yes, here we are.
I must say, Holmes, that's very neat.
That's just the beginning, my dear fellow, just the beginning. North 10 and 10. 10 steps by each foot, I think that means.
That takes you parallel to the well of the old wing of the house.
Marked with a peg. Now 5 to the east, yes, and 2 to the south.
I say, it takes you to that old unused door.
The old unused door has been used quite recently. The surrounding ivy is all torn.
Yes, by Jove, it's even unlocked.
How long since this wing has been inhabited?
Not for several generations. It's the oldest part of the house. Built in the 16th century, I should say. It's only used nowadays to store things in.
Open the door. 2 paces to the west obviously means 2 paces down this flagstone passage. Well, this must be the place indicated by the ritual.
What are you tapping the stones for?
All firmly cemented together, not even a hollow sound.
I told you it was all balderdash.
Hold on. And so under. I nearly forgot that one. Is there a cellar under this place?
Yes, and it's as old as the house.
Lead me to it. That's where our search will end.
Very well, but what are we searching for? Careful. Steps here. It's pretty dark. That's it. This is the cellar. We store wood down here sometimes. Hello, it's all been moved to the side.
What's this? What's this?
It's Brunton's scarf. What's the villain been doing down here?
Just as I thought. Look here, this piece of wood. It's been used to prop up something heavy. See how both ends are flattened?
Look, the scarf's attached to this iron ring set in the flagstone.
Quite sizable flagstone, eh? He must have had someone to help him. He couldn't raise that by himself.
You mean Brunton?
Yes, he was after the buried treasure. He probably talked Rachel into assisting him. That's how she happened to be in possession of the bag she threw into the lake.
I don't understand what you're talking about.
I can't budge it. Lend a hand, will you, Musgrave?
Righto. There it comes.
Quick, prop it up with that piece of wood. That's it.
By Jove, it's a small room down there. And there on the side, what's that?
That, my dear Musgrave, is what Brunton was after. Come on, let's go down.
A brass-bound wooden box, all covered with dust and worm-eaten. The lid has been thrown back. Look here, Holmes, I thought you expected to find a considerable treasure. All this trunk contains is a few discolored discs of metal. Old coins, apparently. I say, do you think that rascal Brunton has been here and robbed me?
That was his intention, undoubtedly. But I don't think he succeeded.
Why not? The box is empty.
Because I think I see his feet sticking out from behind the box. Here, help me move the box.
It's Brunton, all right. He's dead.
Quite. Suffocated, I fancy. This cubbyhole isn't very large.
Yes, but how? How did it happen?
He was murdered on the second night after you discovered him in the library. I can reconstruct this.
Rachel's condition, the bag found in the lake, the open door, the muffler, and the piece of wood used as a prop. It is the last which is particularly significant. He had taught Rachel and her assistant. Realizing that the girl was still infatuated, they waited until everyone had gone to bed and stole down here. It was a stormy night, I believe.
That's it. Close the door after you. Now, light the lantern. That's better. For the love of heaven, don't look like that, Rachel. Nothing's going to happen to you.
I'm afraid. Do you think we ought?
What's the matter with you? If I'd known you had no more spunk in you than this, I'd have asked someone else. I thought you said you loved me.
I do. You know I do. I'd do anything for you.
Well then, come along, down the stairway. Easy.
But it's stealing.
Stealing? To take something a man doesn't even know he has? He'll never miss it.
But it's his, not ours.
What of it? He hasn't the sense to find it, has he? I'm the only one who has enough brains for that. Think I want to spend the rest of my life waiting on men that aren't as good as I am? We'll have money, we'll be rich. Why do you think I didn't marry you before? Because I wasn't making enough. Think I'm going to starve myself to keep a wife?
Then you will marry me if we find it?
Here's the ring. Wait, I'll pull my scarf through it.
But you will marry me. You must. I haven't told you before because I didn't want to worry you. But folks are beginning to suspect, and I can't...
Stop your babbling. Grab the scarf. Now then, pull. Pull harder.
It's so heavy.
A butt of use you are to a man. Pull harder, I tell you. There she comes. Quick, shove that piece of wood under this.
Why, there's a trunk down there.
Of course, and I'm going to find what's in it. Stop trembling, you fool. You're shaking the lantern.
You will marry me, won't you?
It's dusty down here. Phew. There's even a key in the lock. Up goes the lid. Ha. Well, that's something like it.
You will marry me?
Here, put the stuff in the canvas bag I brought you home. Careful, you ninny. Don't drop it. Now give me a hand and help me out of here.
You haven't answered me.
Haven't answered what?
You are going to marry me, aren't you?
Marry you? What kind of fool do you take me for? Marry a girl that lets a fellow...
Don't laugh. Don't laugh.
How do I know I'm the only lover you've had? A wench like you.
I hate you. I hate you. I hate the sight of you. I don't ever want to see you again.
Hey, what are you doing with that piece of wood? Look out, you fool. You pull it out. You'll...
He wouldn't marry me.
Let me out! Let me out! I can't breathe. Let me out!
He wouldn't marry me. He wouldn't marry me.
I say, Holmes, what a cad he must have been.
Quite.
But what did Brunton find that he considered so valuable?
The contents of that bag.
This old rubbish? Why, the metal is almost black, and these dull-looking stones...
Try rubbing one of them, that reddish one, for instance.
Righto. I say, I say, it develops quite a sparkle.
Quite. I imagine that stuff was left in your ancestors' possession by the royal party on the death of Charles I. I congratulate you on its discovery. It is of great intrinsic value, but of even greater importance as a historical curiosity.
Why, what is it then?
It is nothing less than the ancient crown of the kings of England.
Now that's an exciting discovery, Dr. Watson. How did it happen that Charles II never recovered his crown?
That is the one point that Holmes was unable to clear up. It's likely that the Musgraves, who held the secret, died in the interval, and by some oversight left this guide to his descendants without explaining the meaning of it.
Dr. Watson will be back in just a moment to tell us about our next portion of the show. There are all kinds of things being offered for the treatment of colds, but remember this: bromoquinine tablets are made solely for the relief of colds. They don't pretend to do a half dozen things. They claim to do only one thing and do it well, and that is relieve a cold's distress. Furthermore, bromoquinine cold tablets are a proven preparation. They have been the standby of millions for years. Use your head when a cold threatens and take a preparation whose merit has been conclusively proven. Don't fall for fly-by-night preparations or medicines that claim the world. Thousands, yes, even millions of men and women endorse your judgment when you take bromoquinine cold tablets. Every drugstore in the land sells those famous tablets for just a few cents a box. The minute you feel a cold coming on, make your way to a drugstore and say, "Bromoquinine cold tablets, please." And now, what story are we to have next, Dr. Watson?
Well, it's a little something about two girls living in the big city.
Two girls? One of those girls wouldn't happen to be named Irma, would she?
Why, yes, Mr. Mays. How did you guess? Next up, my friend Irma.
You've been listening to a Sherlock Holmes adventure adapted from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's story, The Musgrave Ritual. The original show aired December 11th, 1939, starring Basil Rathbone as Sherlock Holmes and Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson. The dramatization was by Edith Meiser. We will now take a 15-minute intermission, and then we'll continue our program with My Friend Irma, The Lost Ring. As you take your seats, I'll ask you to travel in your minds with me from the chilly Victorian streets of England to the bustling bright lights of the Big Apple. Yes, in modern-day New York City, we'll meet my friend Irma. Oh, good.
My name is Jane, and I have a roommate named Irma. Just the other day, she was saying to me,
Jane, I just love that saying, all's well that ends.
So I said, Irma, you didn't finish it. You mean all's well that ends well.
Yes, Jane, you're right. It's all's well that ends well when you begin with ends chlorophyll tablets.
Yes, Irma has the right idea, because everybody who wants complete protection from odor offense, sooner or later, ends up with ENDS, America's most popular chlorophyll tablets. ENDZ, ENDS. Chlorophyll tablets stop O, odors of body, odors of breath, other odor offense. Stops all three, all at the same time. Keeps you fresh as a daisy all day, all over. It's amazing, but 1 or 2 tiny ENDS tablets daily are all you need to stop O. O. ENDS stop O.
Oh.
And now, ENDS, the really effective chlorophyll tablets, are proud to present your favorite comedy show created by Cy Howard and starring Laura Crooks as Irma and Leslie Meadows as Jane in
My Friend Irma. Irma, will you please hurry out of there? Mrs. O'Reilly expects us downstairs in an hour.
I'm taking a bubble bath.
Yeah, but you've been in there all afternoon.
Well, I bought 2 kinds of bubble bath, and I don't know which one is best.
How are you going to tell?
I'm counting the bubbles.
Oh,
Oh dear, you had to talk to me. Now I lost count. I'll have to start all over again. 1, 2, 3.
Irma, you do that and so help me, I'll burn the house down. Come on.
Oh, please give me 5 minutes more. Oh, the water feels so good. Janie, what's water made of?
Water? Well, it's H2O, hydrogen and oxygen.
Oxygen? Isn't that what they give you when you have trouble breathing?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm so glad you told me. A friend of mine has asthma. I think I'll send him a bottle of water.
Oh. Why don't you test it first? Just duck your head under and breathe deeply for 5 minutes.
Oh, I can't. I just had my hair done.
Irma, get out of that tub and get dressed. I'll straighten the living room.
All right. I'll get into my robe. Close the door, Jane. It's chilly.
Okay. You make it snappy, huh? You know that this tea Mrs. O'Reilly is giving for all her friends is the biggest social event of her life. Her brother just got back from Africa, and he's going to tell us all about everything.
Oh, Jane!
What's the matter?
Come here.
Are you hurt? What's the matter?
The friendship ring Al gave me.
Yes?
I left it on the sink, and when I went to get it, it slipped down the drain.
Oh, Irma, you frightened me to death over nothing.
Nothing? Jane, I've worn that ring for 6 years.
It's a piece of junk. I've heard of gold rings and gold-plated rings and gold-filled rings and gold-painted rings, even imitation gold, but brass-plated?
I don't care what it was made of. That ring to me represented love, and I can't stand here and watch my love go down the drain. Please, Jane, help me get it out.
Honey, how am I going to get it out of that narrow little pipe?
Well, don't we know anybody with a very skinny hand?
Irma, we're on the 3rd floor. That ring is liable to be any place.
Gee, that's terrible. If somebody in this building uses the water, it's liable to wash my ring down to the river. I can't let that happen.
What are you doing?
Oh, Professor Kropotkin, will you come down here right away?
Oh, yes, Irma, darling.
Well, I hope it's not too late.
Oh, Irma, stop making a fuss. You can easily get another ring. If you put enough pennies in the gumball machine, a ring is sure to pop out. Come in, Professor. We're in the bathroom.
What's the trouble, girls?
Well, you know that ring that Al gave Irma? It fell down the drain.
Well, that can't do any harm. I think it belongs in the plumbing. To me, it's always looked more like a washer than a ring.
Oh, I'm not going to have you talk that way.
I'm sorry. Jane, have you got any wire?
Yes, Professor, I think so. The man from the phone company left a long piece of wire here yesterday. It's right in this closet.
Oh, I hope no one is using the water.
Does this look long enough?
Who knows? Wait till I bend the end into a little hook.
Okay.
There. Okay. Now let's go fishing.
Yep.
Oh,
You think you'll get it out, Professor?
I haven't got the least idea. The way the plumbing in this building has been fixed for years. Connected, disconnected, turned, twisted. Who knows what goes where? But we'll see.
You've got over 20 feet in there.
It should be past the Martins' apartment.
Yeah.
Past Mrs. O'Reilly's. Maybe near the basement.
Do you feel anything yet?
No. And that hook would grab anything in the way.
Come in.
Oh, Janie! Janie!
Mrs. O'Reilly, you're white as a sheet. What's wrong?
Janie, I was in me bathroom washing me false eyelashes when a long black thing came out of the faucet, grabbed me eyelashes out of me hand, and disappeared.
Stick around, Mrs. O'Reilly. I'm feeling it in. Well, look. We got 2 baby octopuses.
Those are me eyelashes, and don't be funny. What's going on here anyway?
I dropped the ring Al gave me down the drain, and I'm afraid someone will wash it down to the river.
Well, I'll send for the plumber, but you'll have to pay the bill.
Will you shut the water off till he gets here?
Shut the water off? Irma! I'm giving a tea in an hour, and I have to get myself prettied up. And a girl needs a drop or two of water.
A drop or two? All the water in the Hoover Dam wouldn't help you. Look how many different color streaks of red you got in your hair. What you do, you paint that through a Venetian blind?
Look who's talking, you skinny mongoose. I don't see why you have to use wire down that pipe. If you just pull your ears in, you could go through it yourself.
Oh, please don't argue, Mrs. O'Reilly. You know, I've never asked too much of you, but if you like me just a little, you'll shut the water off.
Well, this is a terrible time to ask me, but all right. I'll shut all the water off for half an hour.
Oh, thank you.
But mind you, plumber or no plumber, it goes on in half an hour because I've got company coming, and you're giving me 30 minutes to make myself attractive, and I don't think that's fair.
Neither do I. How can she straighten out in 30 minutes when it took her 70 years to wrinkle up? Come on, Mrs. O'Reilly. I'll go down to the basement and shut the water off with you.
Oh, fancy that. Ever so often you say something gentlemanly.
Do you want me to go with you?
Yes, there are no lights down there. It's very dark.
Oh, is it?
Yes. Doesn't that give you any ideas?
Yes. Why don't you hold the party down there and go the way you look now?
Jane, how long has the water been shut off?
Oh, about 10 minutes. Why?
Funny, when the water's around, you don't miss it. But when it's shut off... Jane, are you thirsty?
No.
I am.
Oh, that's just your imagination. Forget about it.
All right. Jane, how long can the human body go without water?
Well, it all depends. You see, the human body is 90% water.
It is?
Mm-hmm.
Wish there was some way I could squeeze myself. I'm thirsty.
Oh, Irma, will you stop that? You're just building this thing up in your mind because the water is shut off. Ridiculous. Do we have any soda or Coke around?
You getting thirsty?
Me? No. No.
You know, I don't think I'm 90% water. When I walk, I don't hear anything splash.
Oh, stop. Now stop talking about it. You're making me thirsty, too. Turn on the radio.
All right. This'll take our minds off it.
Yeah.
He cursed the day he came to Death Valley. He lay in the sun, his throat parched, his lips cracked, screaming, "Mother! Mother!
Turn off that radio.
Mother!"
All right, Jane, you don't have to yell.
Oh, now let's not have another word about water.
All right. I wonder how old that man was who was screaming, "Mother! Mother!"
Irma, will you finish getting dressed?
I can't, Jane. I think I'm getting weak.
Come on now, honey. Get your mind off of it. Read a book.
All right. A book. Oh, here's one.
Not The Desert Fox. Irma Peterson, if you hadn't dropped that darn ring down the drain, maybe that's the plumber. in, water boy.
Oh, I'm so sorry, girls, but I won't be able to get a plumber until tomorrow.
Then I'm not going to the party. I won't leave until I get my ring.
Irma, darling, we called every plumber in the neighborhood, and believe me, they are not easy to get. Do you realize how much a plumber makes an hour? And for a small job, they don't like to get off their yachts.
He even told one plumber me head was caught in the washing machine.
Yeah, and he said, just make her comfortable. It's set for 2 rinses.
I don't care. You people don't know what that ring means to me. It's a symbol of our love. Al gave it to me the first night we met.
I know, honey.
Oh, I'll never forget it. I'd gotten a job as a hostess in a dance hall, 10 cents a dance. And Al was my first customer. I still have his IOU. He was doing a waltz, and I was doing a rumba, but we got on famously.
And you're both still doing the same steps.
Yeah, and then he walked me home through Central Park, and all the time we just kept staring at each other.
Ah, blinded by love.
Yeah, that must have been it, because we both walked right into the lake. And when we got home, he gave me the ring. And you expect me to go out in half an hour, to be witty, to be happy, to be bright, while my love is on its way to the sewer? Never.
I mustn't take this girl to see Betty Davis anymore. It's doing things to her. Mrs. O'Reilly, you and the professor better get down to your apartment. I'll be there when your brother arrives.
Yeah? Come on, Mrs. O'Reilly. Oh, by the way, after your brother finishes his talk on Africa, are you going to serve refreshments?
Why, yes. I made some cherry tarts.
You baked them? Well, your tarts can be America's answer to Africa's poisoned darts.
Oh, oh, oh. In stop triple O. More and more folks are learning this vital fact every day. In fact, right now, in the drugstore, a customer asks,
"Can you give me really effective protection against triple O, odors of breath, odors of body, and other odor offense? I've never found any old-fashioned deodorant that could take care of all 3.
Well, yes, N's chlorophyll tablets stop all 3 at the same time. Stop triple O. It's the new, safe, and pleasant way to stay fresh as a daisy all over, all day long.
But how about these cheaper chewing gum or candy products? They contain chlorophyll too.
But look at any of them. Nowhere does the label state how much chlorophyll it contains.
Why, you're right.
Now look at the N's label. It states very clearly that N's contain 100 milligrams of chlorophyll, a fully effective dose. That's why only 1 or 2 tiny N's tablets a day stop triple O. Stop all 3 odor offenses all day long. O, O, O. N's stop triple O.
Oh.
But don't expect such long-lasting results against triple O from cheaper chewing gum or candy substitutes that contain so little chlorophyll. N's are so effective because they start acting instantly inside your body, where odors begin. So for pennies a day, you get N's long-lasting protection. They are pleasant tasting and safe as any garden vegetable. Get ENDZ, N's chlorophyll tablets. O. N stop triple O. Trial size N's only 49 cents at drug counters everywhere. Larger sizes are even more economical. And now back to my friend Irma.
Oh, I hope Mr. Clyde is home. Oh, Mr. Clyde.
Oh, no. Must you bother me on your day off?
Well, there's something I must ask
Well,
you.
make it snappy. Why, my wife and I are just sitting down for some cribbage. And if you tell me it goes well with corned beef, I'll kill you. Now, what's your problem?
Well, 6 years ago, my boyfriend gave me a friendship ring, and I just dropped it down the sink.
Well, what about it?
Well, you have lots of rich friends. Do you know any plumbers?
What?
You see, that ring meant the world to me.
Why? Is it gold?
No.
Is it platinum?
No.
Silver?
No.
Bronze?
No.
Copper?
No.
Well, will you just give me a hint, or do I have to go all the way down to paper?
What it's made of doesn't matter. It dropped down the drain, and Mrs. O'Reilly wants to turn the water on. Isn't there some way we can stop
No,
her?
Miss Peterson, as I see this pathetic case, we have only one legal step within our power.
What's that?
We can sue the drain pipe for alienation of affection.
Mr. Clyde, please don't make jokes about it. Can't we get an injunction?
Of course not.
Well, how about a Corpus Christi?
A what?
Or a red omnibus?
A red omnibus?
Yeah.
You don't mean a writ of mandamus, do you?
Yeah. I've been working in the law office 6 years, and I still can't remember all those Spanish words. Mr. Clyde, you're an authority. What can we get?
My dear girl, I will tell you what we can get. We can get a writ of transportation.
Oh, that's wonderful. What is it?
That is a legal document which allows two men in white coats to take you back to the institution from which you escaped. Now get out of here.
Oh.
Out!
Okay, Jane, I'm here.
Oh, Al, I'm glad you got my message. Did you bring another ring for Irma like the one she lost?
Oh, I'm sorry, Jane. I couldn't pick up another.
Now, don't tell me that they're that expensive.
Oh, no. You see, it wasn't really a ring. It was a brass fitting from a milking machine, and they discontinued the model. My mother got it from the county farm when she was doing the visiting.
That's just great. Now what am I going to do? She won't go to Mrs. O'Reilly's party.
No kidding.
No kidding.
You mean to say that my baby won't go anywhere while my ring is still in the pipes? Boy, what devotion. You know, you couldn't find a dog that loyal.
I'm beginning to believe it, too. I think I'll take her next week for rabies shots.
Imagine, loving a guy so madly. I guess I got more than meets the eye.
Yeah. In fact, some of it meets the nose. What is that cologne you're wearing?
Oh, you like it? It's French.
Al, bouillabaisse is to be eaten, not worn.
Hello, Jane. Oh, Al.
Now, baby, these is the tragedies that befall many young lovers.
Al, will you stay here with me and try to get the ring out?
Oh, I can't, baby. My pal Mushy's been arrested for theft, and I have to be a witness.
Mushy was arrested?
Oh, yeah. They caught him walking out of a supermarket with a live chicken under his coat. Even though he threw the bird away, I think they're going to convict him on circumstantial evidence. You see, they found a hot egg in his pocket. So long, baby.
Come on, Irma. It's time to go to Mrs. O'Reilly's. You'll have fun, honey, and you'll forget all about the ring.
Nothing doing. I'm going over to the library. Maybe they'll have a book on plumbing. Goodbye.
Well, Mrs. O'Reilly, this is quite a crowd. Is that Patrick the Explorer over there?
Yes. Doesn't he look wonderful? It's hard to believe he's 68.
68? Must be a great thrill after all of these months to welcome back your kid brother.
He's older than I am.
Look, let your brother tell the wild tales, not you. Who are all these people?
Oh, I have friends.
Mrs. O'Reilly?
Oh, Janie, darling, where's Irma?
Oh, I can't do anything with her. She's out now trying to get a book on plumbing. Mrs. O'Reilly, you look just wonderful. What a beautiful dress.
Why, thank you. I had it made specially for this day. I hardly had time to get it away from the dressmaker.
I don't think you made it. From the back, it looks like she's still in it.
Now cut it out. That's a bustle. And it's the newest thing.
Well, come on, Mrs. O'Reilly, now let's have it. Who are all these people?
Well, that one over there in green, that's the widow Johnson. She come into a fortune in oil.
Really?
Yes. Her husband was hit by a refinery truck, and she collected the insurance.
Who's that sporty-looking guy over there?
Oh, that's McGonagall. You know, he's the baker who invented the donut with the large hole. So you can put your 2 fingers through it for people who like to dunk and hold a cigarette at the same time.
Who's that very distinguished-looking gentleman? The one with the white vest and gold chain.
Oh, that's one of me beaux. Flanagan. He thinks I'm the most beautiful woman he's ever seen.
Isn't he the one with the thick glasses who just walked into the wall?
Stop it. He tripped. Well, I think I'll serve the tea now, and then we'll sit around and listen to me brother's adventures in Africa. Professor, you can help me hand out the cookies.
Oh, sure. And I'll call up the construction company and tell them to send a derrick.
Can I help you, miss?
Yes, I would like...
Shh! This is a library.
Oh, I'm sorry. Have you got a book on plumbing?
Have you tried looking under P?
No, I've been looking under B.
Under B?
Yes, you see, I lost my ring in the bathroom.
Well, I'm sure there's a plumber's manual.
Oh, hello there, Irma.
Oh, Violet Murphy.
Quiet, please.
Oh, I forgot. Violet, what are you doing here?
Oh, I read some evenings. I have to rest up for my new boyfriend.
Oh, Violet, a new boyfriend?
Yes, he's a frog leg salesman. And does he keep me jumping? Isn't that a cute joke? I tell it to all my friends.
Well, naturally. People always make jokes about a man who sells frogs' legs.
Well, my family didn't. They met him the other night.
What did they say?
That we shall both croak. You know how critical parents are. Tell me, Irma, what brings you here?
Oh, I dropped the friendship ring Al gave me down the drain.
Oh, I don't think Mrs. O'Reilly can sue you.
No, I want to get it out, so I'm getting a book on plumbing. I'll have to say goodbye, Violet.
Let's get together some night for dinner. Do you like frog legs?
Oh, yeah.
Well, my boyfriend brings home lots of rejects. You see, restaurants won't take the legs if they're fractured. Goodbye. Call me now.
Plumber's Manual. Plumbing has been a boon to mankind through the ages, and the art of the plumber is indeed one of great skill. Oh, no, that's not the part I want. Let's see. Oh, here it is. In old buildings, it is often difficult to trace the path of the original plumbing. However, by tapping on a pipe gently, one may discover the location of an obstruction or object. It is important not to tap too hard, or a broken pipe may result. Now, where's my hammer? I simply must find that ring.
Well, that was delicious, Mrs. O'Reilly.
Well, thank you, Janie. And now we're ready for the lecture. And wait until you hear Patrick talk. He's so exciting. You'll imagine you're right there in Africa. All right, Patrick, we're ready.
Thank you and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I've just returned from the land of Ubangis and Pygmies, so naturally it's nice to see me sister again.
Well, thank you, Patrick.
Not at all, my dear. I've just returned from a 3-month trip into the heart of Africa. I was with an expedition looking for ivory. Say, that reminds me, where's Irma?
Well, she couldn't make it. I think she's working on some, irrigation project.
Oh, let's continue. Never in my life have I known such a terror as stalked us in the jungle, especially at night. The death-frightening silence, and in the distance, the beating of the tom-toms.
Glory be. I can almost hear them. It's so realistic.
And then in the sky out of nowhere, the flash of lightning and a sudden downpour of rain. And more rain.
Look, it's coming through the ceiling. It must be from our place.
Mrs. O'Reilly, look! You're an African queen. There's a brass ring on your nose.
Irma and Jane will be back in a moment, but first, end stop, triple O.
Oh.
Yes, and here's proof. In an amazing scientific odor test, 8 out of 10 men and women stopped or definitely reduced triple O with N's.
Stopped odors of body, stopped odors of breath, stopped other odor offense.
Yes, executives, secretaries, clerks, even factory workers at 110-degree heat took N's chlorophyll tablets. Results from hundreds and hundreds of examinations were astounding. Working inside the body where odors begin, N's actually prevented unpleasant odors from forming. Stopped all 3 odor offenses. N's stop, triple O. Yes, N's keeps you fresh as a daisy, all over, all day long. You get more complete, long-lasting protection against triple O than from any old-fashioned body deodorant, toothpaste, soap, or mouthwash. And N's are so much easier to use and safe as any green vegetable. Pleasant-tasting N's contain 100 milligrams of fully effective dose of chlorophyll. So beware of cheaper chewing gum or candy substitutes that contain so little chlorophyll or that fail to state their chlorophyll content on the label. Always insist on N's chlorophyll tablets. N's stop, triple O. That's ENDZ. The trial size is only 49 cents. Larger sizes are even more economical.
Well, any of you folks got plumbing you want done? You just call Irma Peterson, 'cause believe me, she's going to have to make extra money to pay for what she's done to our place and Mrs. O'Reilly's. You think she's worried? Not at all. Not a bit. She's got her ring back. You know, it just burns me up the way she carried on about something that isn't even a real ring. I think I'll tell her the truth. Irma?
Yes, Jane?
Honey, you might as well know the truth. That piece of junk that Al gave you is not a ring. It's a brass fitting from a milking machine.
How can you say that? It's even engraved on the inside, right there, inside.
Oh, honey, I didn't know that. Read what it says.
To set for 3 quarts, turn to right. Oh.
Well, there she goes, crying again. You know, between her tears and the leaking pipe, I'm going to be ready to swim the English Channel next summer if I go on living with my friend Irma.
The original recording of My Friend Irma, The Lost Ring, aired on February 24th, 1952, starring Marie Wilson as Irma, Kathy Lewis as Jane. It was written by Cy Howard and directed by Park Levy. Tonight's production starred Micah Henry as Reginald Musgrave, as Professor Kropotkin and Al. Lynn Lapelli was Sherlock Holmes, the radio voice, and Mr. Clyde. Glenn Mays was Alfred the butler. Rick Deal was Dr. Watson, Brunton, Patrick O'Reilly, and the librarian. Kay Henry was Rachel Howells, the customer, and Violet Murphy. Leslie Meadows was the workman and Jane. Laura Crooks was Irma, and Kathy Lapelli was Mrs. O'Reilly. The sound effects were created here on stage by the cast, and our Our live music was performed by Veronica Hensley. The Alexander Radio Theater is brought to you by the Alexander Community Theater, the Alexander County Library, and Apple City Broadcasting. This is your announcer, Glenn Mays, inviting you to tune in next time for another Alexander Radio Theater production. Take your time as you head back to the present day. Enjoy the view. And don't miss the little things of today that will be tomorrow's treasures.
Thank all of you for coming this evening. Please help yourself to some refreshments in the lobby, and be sure and tune in to WACB 860 for the monthly production of the Alexander Radio Theater.